Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lil J Show. Listen, tonight we got a lot to talk about, and you definitely want to stay with me for this entire live. Jayvon's mom is speaking out about what happened the night she went to get the phone. Some details that we need to discuss. And before we get into it, I want you guys to hit that like button, share this live. Let me know where you watching from. Now, I want everybody to listen closely because after we go through what was said, I want your opinion. Do you think this changes anything about what happened tonight? Drop a yes or no in the chat. So I hope everybody is having a blessed day. And I hope I can get through this live because we having damn storms in ATL tonight. Every time we have these daggone storms, you know what I'm saying? My dang internet start acting crazy. So let's get into it, man. First, like I said before I start anything, I always want to drop this flyer down. I always want to put this flyer in the show this flyer until the day comes. You know what I'm saying? Till the day comes when Nolan Wells has his the prayer rally for Nolan Wells. Feel me? I'm always drop this down. Keynote speakers Jamal Bryant. It's happening in Biloxi, Mississippi. Greater St. John AME Church. Rest in peace, Nolan Wells. Rest in peace, Daniel Erving. Rest in peace, Tasia Fortune. Rest in peace, Tyler Smith. And rest in peace, James Wilkerson. So before we get into Javon's mom saying what really happened that night, I want to look at a couple of things on Instagram. So, let's check out what I seen. Well, I think there's only one thing that I did want to bring up on Instagram, and that was, you remember, I went live the other night and we talked about the guy that they found in Raleigh, North Carolina, in a tree, and they try to say he did it to himself. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that tonight because the guy that went live and showed us where it actually happened, he ran up on two police officers today and asked them, "What do they know about this situation?" And you will never believe what they said to this man. So yeah, I want to start with this right here. We're gonna, just a little refresher. Black man was found hanging from a tree in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. He was found around 2:30 p.m. yesterday in the rear parking lot behind Whiskey Kitchen on West Martin Street near Squash Nash Square in the Carib Mass Festival. So they had a Caribbean festival while all this stuff was going on. While this happened, they was having a Caribbean festival. And also, my man said that it was a fireman's convention too, right? He that it happened right behind the little hotel or the building where they was having this fireman's convention. So I don't know. He said when he pulled up, it was just the firemen out there. They didn't even put the yellow tape out, nothing. They just I guess they just took him down and went on about their business. It says this is an incredibly disturbing thing to hear about, especially given the history and symbolism associated with a black person being, found from a tree. Something about this deserves answers. What do y'all think about that? Yeah, something about that does deserve answers. It really does. So, like I said, Javon's mom, she went on some type of little, I guess, podcast, or I don't know exactly what it was, but she had some things to say. She was basically telling me, this ain't, this is really what they are saying. That's really not. what happened. You know what I'm saying? Then she, I think she said one of them tried to, get a little feisty with it, try to get a little ill. And her son was like, "Yo, hold up, back up, man. This my mom's you talking to. You better slow your roll, buddy." You know what I mean? So we're gonna check that out and see exactly what happened. So let me try to get to it. And then we're gonna kind of read the comments on, what happened. So, you know what I mean? But she did say that when I'm trying to get feisty with it, you know what I'm saying? Try to have an attitude just because she asked for the phone. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy, ain't it? So let's get to it. Let's see what Javon's mom. I think her name is Toshiba. Shout out to Toshiba. I think it's Toshiba Hands, if I'm not mistaken. So this came from Surfing Snaps. I don't know where they got this from, but we're gonna, check it out and get into the comments after we hear this situation right here. Check this out.
And they sent me to his house, which that boat had never even been in the water. Wyatt did. I never even really talked to Warren. The whole time I was in the house, I spoke with Wyatt. Wyatt is the one who had the phone that supposedly was in his truck or whoever. But Wyatt is who I talked to. I never talked to Warren. I'm not sure why Warren is doing that. But I turned the camera around directly on Wyatt and told my sister. Outside somewhere. They said it was in the truck. I'm not sure where it was at. It took them at least 15 minutes to bring me the phone. By this time, the boys will start, because Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So my son Jayvon was like, "Hey, you better watch your tone, like don't get smart."
Yeah, Wyatt. She said Wyatt was getting jazzy at the mouth. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me check that out.
Watch your tone, like don't get smart. My mom.
Hold on, let me get back to it.
Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So my son Jayvon was like, "Hey, you better watch your tone, like don't get smart." My mama.
Right.
Because we trying to see what Nolan, because we trying to figure out why y'all seen y'all ass up here chilling and Nolan missing.
Right.
So that's when I asked again, where's the phone? She's gone. That's when he told me she was going to get it. I said, oh, she must have to go back to Horn Island truck outside. Now, mind you, we had to pass all the cars to walk in the house. It's just it's a bunch of lies. I don't feel the need to, like I said, when they go to mentioning Jayvon, I'm going to say and stand up behind mine every single time. As far as me and that nudge and shit, I don't feel the need to explain anything to any of y'all. And they sent.
So she said she gonna stand up behind hers. So hey, that's every mother. Tell you the truth, that's every mother. Gonna stand up behind theirs. So, I'm gonna get into these comments. It says Jayvon was a best friend, as they say. Why did he leave Nolan on the island? He was there too. If they had anything to hide, why did Warren call Christina looking for him? Y'all don't make no sense. That's crazy. I mean, come on, are you serious? They called the mama because they had a lot to hide. They called the mama because she probably she was calling that phone looking for her son. She hadn't heard from him all day. So they see, they got the phone. I know they got the phone. When they see that his mom is steady calling, they probably, allegedly, probably, oh shit, what are we gonna do? They came up with this story. They didn't call from Warren's phone. I mean, from Nolan's phone. They called. Supposedly Warren called from his phone because in her interview it said maybe Warren, when she said the phone, when it rang, it said maybe Warren. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, I really do feel like their mother. They got in that phone, and then they try to play it off, and they called this lady's son asking for Nolan's mom's phone number. You know what I mean? They didn't even tell him. They didn't even ask him. Like, yo, bro, have you heard anything from Nolan? You know what I'm saying? He left his phone on the boat, but he said he's gonna hang back and yada yada yada. They didn't tell her son nothing. They just asked him for the mother's number. Suppose I don't know, but I believe they didn't say nothing because she said she ended up calling Jayvon and asking him if they heard from Nolan. You know what I mean? And then that's when they started doing these location things. And then come to find out, them boys got the phone. So you know what I mean? So it's crazy. That why didn't they tell him when they called asking for Nolan's mom's number? Like, yo, we left Nolan back in the island with the little honey, and he left his phone on the boat. He left the phone and shirt on the boat. I'm trying to find out if anybody has heard from him. Just checking up on my boy. You know what I'm saying? We got his phone, but they didn't say nothing of that. I believe they just asked him for the number, his mom's number. You know what I'm saying? So that's crazy to me. It makes no sense. None of this makes sense whatsoever. So I'm gonna play this one more time, and we're gonna get into some things that I've seen on YouTube about this phone. Everybody's going crazy about this phone now. Everybody. The DA is ready to get the phone. I believe Nolan Wells' mother, Christine Wansley, shout out to Christine. She says the only way y'all get this phone is if my people come with it and look at everything together. You know what I'm saying? I suppose that now I heard that the DA had gave them this date, like you need to hand over this phone by a certain date. I believe it was the 14th or the 15th, I believe. But we're gonna get into all that. We're gonna get into all that. So let me replay this. What Javon's mom said. Shout out to Tashima. Shout out to Tashima.
And they sent me to his house, which that boat had never even been in the water. Wyatt did. I never even really talked to Warren. The whole time I was in the house, I spoke with Wyatt. Wyatt is the one who had the phone that supposedly was in his truck or whoever. But Wyatt is who I talked to. I never talked to Warren. I'm not sure why Warren is doing that. But I turned the camera around directly on Wyatt and told my sister. Outside somewhere. They said it was in the truck. I'm not sure where it was at. It took them at least 15 minutes to bring me the phone. By this time, the boys will start, because Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So
You see what she said? Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. I wonder what in the hell he said to this young lady.
Wyatt started getting jazzy at the mouth. So my son Jayvon was like, "Hey, you better watch your tone. Like, don't get smart, my mama."
That's right.
Right.
Cause we trying to see what Nolan, cause we trying to figure out why y'all see y'all ass up here chilling and Nolan missing. So that's when I asked again, where's the phone? She's gone. That's when he told me she was gonna get it. I said, oh, she must have to go back to Horn out the truck outside. Now, mind you, we had to pass all the cars to walk in the house. It's just too it's a bunch of lies. I don't feel the need to, like I said, when they go to the mentioning Jayvon, I'm gonna say and stand up behind mine every single time. As far as me and that nudge shit, I don't feel the need to explain anything to any of y'all. And they
said, you know what I'm saying? They said they was just sitting up in there chilling, knowing that this man is missing. You know what I'm saying? Now, why is that? And even, I believe I heard something about like when everybody was out searching for the young man, when they was out searching for Nolan, them boys was going eating breakfast somewhere. I think they was seen at a restaurant eating breakfast where everybody is out looking for this young man. But that's supposed to be your homie, right? That's supposed to be your brother. That's supposed to be your best friend. You should have been out there before everybody. I believe if that was my partner, oh yeah. I'm out there before everybody. I'm out there probably for the parents. They got boats. The parents didn't have it. They got boats. That's how you got out there, right around. So why you sitting up there chilling? Something ain't right about that situation. So we're gonna get into these things we found out about this phone. Everybody's talking about this phone now. They're making it a big deal about this phone. So let's see what we got going on about this phone. Hey, I appreciate y'all tapping in with me, rocking with me. Sit tight because we got some good things going on today. You know what I'm saying? We got a little video from Willie D I want to watch. I want to check it out. And there's some more people. We finna watch. Tessa Tales. Shout out to Tessa. She be coming with some good content too. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Tessa Tales. You know what I'm saying? She got one that says, "Why is secretly monitored Nolan's phone after Christine took it back? New evidence changes everything." Let's see what she talking about. Shout out to Tessa Tales. See what she talking about.
Thought and what you know about Wyatt. All right. Now, if you guys haven't watched my old videos, what are you really doing? Because they're really good. But let me get to the point, okay? Wyatt had always been a mystery. Through all this, he is not lawyered up. He's been suspiciously quiet, and his grandfather, and his parents are wrapped up in everything. Now, let me just start off by saying, I'm not saying that they did it, but ever since I got this info, I've been looking at them different. Listen, Wyatt, the missing link. What's going on? Now, let me take you through what I'm going to show, right? That somehow Wyatt called once Jayvon's mom and, of course, Nolan's parents retrieved the phone. We need to revisit that because a lot of you guys were doubting when I said that Wyatt actually called the police, okay? Actually called the police on Nolan's parents as everybody was rolling over to search the boat. What is in the boat? What could be hiding in the boat? And why did he call 911 on people? They were also tracking Nolan's phone. So why they thought he was missing and they knew he had the phone, why they were tracking the phone to find out the parents' next move. But then we have to get into the parents. We have to get into the police department and we have to get into all this information I just found out. All right, you guys, are you ready for the PowerPoint presentation? Because I do have receipts to back up everything I'm saying. Let me just do a
Bring it.
disclaimer. I am not saying I know if what happened to Nolan. I am not blaming anyone. I am saying that the stories are not adding up. People are acting suspicious, and we need to address this. Okay, with no
Hey,
further
that's what
ado,
everybody's
let's get
saying. The
into this.
story's
Okay,
not
turn
adding
the
up.
volume up because this is the conservative ex-officer Django when he was interviewing Warren, Morgan, and Jax. All right, let's get into this. Listen very carefully about what they talk about calling the police
Yeah, so once again, these aren't my videos. I'm just reacting to them. So shout out to Tissa Tales. Let's go.
on.
I was with Wyatt at the time after we left Jax's house that night. I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was actually headed towards Wyatt's house.
One of the people we were with, they will not release the name of who that was. One of the people we were with saw that their location, they are talking about is the Nolan's rescue party. Okay. Various people between Nolan's parents, Jayvon, Javon's mom and a bunch of people that were literally going crazy trying to find Nolan. This is also 1 a.m. in the morning after they bust into Jack's house, demanded the phone and the car keys. Okay, let me repeat that. One of the people we were with saw that they were headed toward Wyatt's house. What does that tell you? They don't want to give the name, but somebody, Nolan, one of his friends, he was sharing location with. And after they know Nolan was missing, and after they knew that the parents were looking, they looked at the share my location from where Nolan, I'm assuming, was sharing location, and they saw they would headed to Wyatt's house. Now, the funny thing is, right? They didn't say when they left, they didn't say, oh, we're going to Wyatt's house. They were just tracking their location and they guessed they were going to Wyatt's house. Why? I believe, and again, that's just my opinion. I'm going to show you the evidence. You let me know. I believe it was a guilty conscience. Okay, let's continue.
And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, hey, these people are on the way to my house or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone and they know nothing about this.
Okay, let's react. Hey, Wyatt, instead of, first of all, to look at people that were looking for Nolan and freak out and call 911 because they told you when they left Jack's house, where's his stuff on the boat? Where's the boat? Oh, it's parked at my mom and dad's house.
First of all, it's crazy for them to start looking at that track my location after they give up Nolan's phone. Why would they do that? That is crazy. They know something ain't right. So why are they looking at that location and where that phone is going after they give it to Javon's mom? What was the point of them looking at that location?
And they ran over to search the boat. They ran over to search the boat because it didn't make sense the way they were acting. Everybody was off. Nolan's parents and Javon's mom and whoever was in that search party, baby, they trust their gut. And why wouldn't they look in the boat? Because there might be something that could let them know what happened to Nolan. Let's not
Mhm.
forget, everybody was saying, we don't know where Nolan is. We think he might be drunk in someone's house. So instead of calling your parents and saying, hey, Nolan's people are on their way over looking, they want to search the boat. Nolan's people are on the way over. You call 911.
To stop it.
Wyatt, the person who's been suspiciously quiet in all this, you call 911 and you say, hey, there's people over to my house. My parents don't know anything about this. Know anything about what?
Right.
Know anything about what? My parents don't know.
And why would they sit there and say that? My parents don't know anything about this. But they said, if you remember, they said that that Nolan and Wyatt's father was like really close. So why wouldn't he tell his father or both of them, really? Hey, you know what? We believe Nolan's missing. We haven't heard from him. Last we seen, he was still on Horn Island. He didn't come back with us. So, just letting y'all know. You know what I mean? Because supposedly, Nolan and Wyatt's father is like really on some cool shit. You know what I'm saying? They said they used to sit there by those two, and be watching Scarface together and other little stuff. While the other ones is out hanging, Nolan is in the house with Wyatt's dad. Remember that. So why wouldn't he tell his parents that something is going on with Nolan? We can't find him. Something is going on. Why? Why is he keeping that a secret?
Anything about this, meet them there and stop them from searching the boat. Why else would you call 911? Why wouldn't you call your parents?
Right.
Why wouldn't you call? By this time, Bart was there. Why wouldn't you call Nolan's mom? Why wouldn't you do anything? And most importantly, why wouldn't you join in on the search? Because
Exactly.
what do you have to hide? There's nothing on your boat, right? Okay, we get
Right.
into this. This is the boat. This is the boat. Look at these people. Look at all this fish on the boat. But more importantly, look at where these people's ankles and whatnot are hiding. Humans could lay flat in that boat and you would never, ever see them. You would never, ever. The boat is not shallow. It is actually very deep, and you would never, ever, ever see anyone. Now, there is a video surfacing that looks like an arm or something comes up and then drops that down. That has not been verified. And by verified, I mean like I'm sure Nolan's mom and there's Ahmad, there's Eric Hart, there's Ben Crump. They're all doing separate things, but they are also, I think Eric Hart is the one doing the investigation. I'm sure Eric Hart is right now having that video analyzed so we can actually get God to honest proof. But again, could someone be laying flat in that boat? Could somebody be hiding or hidden in the boat? Yes, it is a possibility. Now, does anybody think it's odd that Wyatt, whose grandfather is listed as a interested party. He's a invested part, not invested. He's a party the same way Bart was listed, but none of the other kids were in the MDR report. Now, keep in mind what you just heard Morgan tell you that Wyatt did. Okay. Now let's go to the MDMR report because Wyatt's name keeps popping up and Wyatt's name keeps getting protected. All right. Wyatt's boat, the Triton, I believe, somebody can lay flat and maybe be hiding in the boat or hidden in the boat. I want to direct you guys' attention to this because I think when you take the words that Wyatt did and the fact that Wyatt really did call the police on Nolan's search party, that was just because it sounds like he was scared ishless that his
Yeah.
boat.
He was scared they was gonna find something. Why would you call the police to get them to stop them from going to look at that boat if nothing is on it, nothing happened? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Go look at it. We ain't got nothing to hide. What you gonna call the police? You call the police to try to stop them from going to look at the boat.
might be searched. And this is the same night, early morning, July 5th, 1 a.m. in the morning, July 5th. This is after they had told on July 4th at 11 p.m., Nolan's missing. I want to direct your attention to this, right? Because it's very important. At approximately 1630 hours, mind you, keep in mind the MDMR. Miss Christine said in an interview that she felt like she was getting a runaround between the police and the Coast Guard. Warren promised to call the Coast Guard, but it seems like he said he called a buddy who was somehow connected to it. So that was the first lie. You never called Coast Guard. You never made an official report, even though it seemed to me you were trying to lead the mom to believe that you guys were handling this, right? Let's go back to that. Before the Coast Guard or the police got involved, the MDMR were the ones taking the lead on this investigation. Nobody else was involved. They were taking the lead out of this, that, and a third. I want to draw your attention to this paragraph in the MDR report. This has been verified as the official report. It's been circling all over. At approximately 1630 hours, that's 4:30, Officer Strickland contacted Wyatt Preon's mom. There we go again with that Wyatt, Jennifer Preon, who stated that Wyatt had already spoken to the Jackson County Sheriff Department investigators earlier in the day, but would cooperate in any way they were needed. Officer Strickland was given verbal consent to view the Garmin GPS on the Wyatt's vessel. Officer Strickland observed the track lines showing the Preon's vessel location on Horn Island to narrow down the search for Nolan Wells. The GPS displayed that the vessel was located near the western tip of Horn Island, right? On July 4th. Now, here's the part that really freaked me out, and it never set right to me. And now I'm beginning to actually see why. This last sentence, Officer Strickland, mind you, keep in mind, prior to that, they had given names of the girl they think Nolan was with, even though they knew it was Katie. How do they know it was Katie? Because they were texting with Katie.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying they were best friends with Katie, but they knew enough about who the person was with. Trayson even said that he said some slick ish to Nolan about Katie before he left because he used to mess around with Katie, right? They gave this girl's name that was Lainey. The officer was stopping everywhere and knocking on doors because they had been led to believe by the friends that Nolan was drunk on somebody's couch sleeping it off. So they went and knocked on the doors of everybody that was supposedly there. They knocked on Lainey's door. Hey, they said that you last saw this missing boy. He stayed on the island with you. She looked right at the cop and said, no.
Why would that give the police the wrong girl? They knew exactly who the girl was.
Mean, I know who he is, and but the thing is, I have not seen or talked to him in over a year. She also said, I was never on Horn Island. I was on Petite Boise. Tell me why these guys gave a girl that they knew wasn't there, because they said it's a small community. Instead of giving Katie's contact info and Katie's real name, you gave, I believe, a red herring. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe I'm wrong. They knock on the door of other people that the friends had told them were present. Nobody's answering the door. They finally say, you know what? Let me stop at Wyatt's house. Okay. The mom was like, he's already cooperated. They're like, yeah, that's great. But that's what the police, and we're MDMR, and we're the ones searching for him right now. So can we look at the GPS? Right? She's like, okay. And she lets them in. You guys read it, to look at the GPS. That's when they take down the GPS footage. Look at this, what happened while he was looking at the GPS, guys. While Officer Strickland, who I would say MDMR seemed at this point to be the only people looking for Wyatt, listen to what happened. Officer Strickland was notified at the moment where he was at Wyatt's house taking all that info. Officer Strickland was notified that Jackson County Sheriff's Department was taking the lead on this missing person investigation. The MDMR officer would be in a supporting role for the remainder of the investigation. Now,
See, something don't seem right with that because you remember the mother, and she's gonna say it too. The mother in her interview said that she first talked to the MDMR. They said they couldn't. It wasn't in their jurisdiction. I guess she went to Ocean Springs. They said it wasn't in their jurisdiction. Went to the sheriff's department. You know, it was just a big runaround. Remember? So why would the sheriff's department just turn around and say, "Oh, okay, we're gonna take it over"? The sheriff and the judge, they always talking. It's gonna be something. They have to go to a judge to sign, get warrants and stuff signed, so they know they have a good relationship with the judges. You know what I mean? So this is crazy right here because at first they said it wasn't in their jurisdiction, right?
I don't know if you guys know what supporting roles are, but when you are a supporting role, you do not have a right to collect evidence. You don't have a right to interview witnesses. You are supporting, which means you fall back. You only come up to the front if they ask you for your help. But isn't it interesting that at this point, Nolan's mom said she was getting a runaround. The police and the Coast Guard chose not to look for him. The MDMR, the only people that weren't like this with all those boys' parents,
Mhm.
were actually conducting an investigation and getting to the bottom of stuff. They were the ones that got to that stupid fake Katie alibi. They were the one, honestly, that got us this information that the boys still cannot explain with the CETO call. You guys, this information, it's information that the boys can still not explain away. They said right here, if you look closely, that they were out to sea sinking when they called CETO. This is from the MDR report. This is the actual GPS information they got on off of Wyatt's boat. Okay? I think this is what everybody was trying to hide. And this is why they took the MDR case, because the MDMR seemed like they were actually
They was on it.
investigating a missing persons crime. It shows that there is a fundamental inconsistency at best and lie at most. I talk about this in my other video. They said that they were sinking. That's impossible. They did not leave Horn Island. They were in the same place in Horn Island, aground, from 11:15 till 4:31 p.m. It's right there in the GPS info that they took from the boats. If you guys will actually remember, the frantic distress call to CETO reporting the boat was taken on water and the bilge pump had failed was placed at approximately 4 o'clock p.m., shortly before the boat's recorded departure from Horn Island. Now, I said this before in my last video. Bart released video and pictures via Officer Coon Tatum, right? Showing they were in the middle of the sea. There were 7 people standing on the boat, it looked like 2 women, 5 guys. Wyatt was sitting there on the phone in the captain's chair. Bart was supposed to be throwing rope and towing them. And that was evidence that sea tow was not needed because Bart was towing them. However, by their own GPS that they tried to bury through the MDMR report, that could not have happened, which is why everybody's asking for the timestamps are those pictures. That could not happen because they called CETO at 4 o'clock. The boat did not move until 4:31 p.m., which means that call to CETO was a fake call, meaning you couldn't been sinking. You didn't need help. You said you were at 31 feet of water where your GPS told us that you were in the same place you had been since you got to Horn Island. It was only till after you left Horn Island at 4:31, 30 minutes after you made that CETO call, that the boat even moved. Keep in mind, they also say during the recorded dispatch call from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources archive, the teenager on board, that's Wyatt, stated they were near the west tip of Horn Island and needed immediate help.
Right.
However, the actual tow was ultimately never dispatched or completed because the dispatcher spoke with the captain, who noted that Jerry, Wyatt's grandfather, and an owner of the boat communicated that the teens had managed to address the pump issue and was no longer required. You guys, this distress call was made 30 minutes. On top of that, if you were sinking, why would you go out into the middle of the ocean when there's all these boats and people and friends and family around that could assist you? It doesn't make sense.
But my thing is, if you're sinking, why was nobody in life jackets? Look at that picture. And then on top of that, who in the world would think to record or make a video of your boat when it's sinking? or when it's being told. That's the thing I don't get. Why would you make a video? Who's making that video? And for what? And why does nobody, I mean nobody, have on a life jacket if their boat is really sinking? Think about it.
There is a 30-minute gap that nobody can explain. And I believe nobody can explain it. I think even though the 30-minute gap cannot be explained, the one thing that I do know is, unlike the police and the Coast Guard, let's not forget all those people have dink links to the police. The MDMR on July 5th, early in the morning at 9 a.m. was flying drones trying to find. However, the police and the Coast Guard, and I believe the police, said they didn't have anything to worry. The MDMR were the only people conducting a real investigation. And isn't it funny that once they were looking at Wyatt's boat and taking GPS stuff, all of a sudden they got the call that said, yo, fall back. You don't have the right to continue this investigation. And once that happened, there was nothing else. Again, what does this mean? What does it mean? Right? What does it mean? I think it means a lot, but I think the pieces are starting to actually fall in place. And I believe we are starting to see the clear reason why asking what happened to Nolan is the same as attacking the city and the atmosphere we're in, that asking what happened to Nolan, that whole clique is acting like the answer will destroy those boys' lives forever. And they are fighting
Yep.
like hell to make sure we can't find it. You guys, I hope this information wasn't, again, Wyatt called the police on to stop the Nolans, the mom's search party for Nolan, called the police so that they could not search the boat. The boat is not shallow. Somebody can easily lay flat in two parts of the boat. On top of that, we saw that the MDMR search, which were the only ones seemingly searching for Nolan, got shut down as soon as he showed up at Wyatt's house.
Right. With that, and looking and ask for that tracking device so he can jot down and record where this boat's been, and they shut it down. And then the thing that's really, really odd, besides them making a video of that boat supposedly sinking, nobody with no life jackets on, what's really, really odd is that they were tracking Nolan's phone after they gave it to Jayvon's mom. Now, why would they do that? Can somebody explain that to me? So, while we still on the phone business, we gotta look at something else about this phone business. This phone is like becoming a major part of this case. So let's look at this other situation about the phone business, y'all. Now it's all about the phone. But I tell you what, if it's gonna help us find out what happened to Nolan Wells, then I'm all for it. I am all for it. Let me get into this thing right here where us is something. Okay, here we go with Nancy Grace. She had a little live today, and now it's all about the phone. It's all about the phone. Like, everybody's making a big deal about this phone. So let's see what she's gonna say. I hadn't really watched this, but it did say it was Nolan Wells' phone evidence torpedoed. Let's see what the hell she talking about. Let's see what she talking about.
Bombshell tonight in the Nolan Wells investigation. Tonight, a Nolan Wells phone evidence torpedo. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
All but, I believe, one took a polygraph, and from what was told to me, that they all passed.
Nancy, my clients have not taken a polygraph test.
Nobody's guilty, and everybody's a suspect. We don't know the truth yet, but we will.
We have had multiple witnesses reach out to us, two confirmed witnesses that saw Nolan Wells on the island around 6 p.m. on July 4th.
Why only two?
Well after the Triton, as you said, left around 4:30. And so those witnesses have went to investigators, they've talked to the police, and they've done what they're supposed to do. These witnesses know Nolan. They've known him for a long time. They were able to make a positive ID. And they told that to investigators. They told them that from the very start.
What witnesses? Where? Who, what, where,
Right.
why, and when? That is a renowned trial lawyer named Tyler Cox, and he is representing the acquaintances of Nolans that took him to Horn Island on their boat, the Triton. Curious, we've seen, hey, let's pull up that video control room of everyone getting on the boat before they went to Horn Island. It's very interesting, evidentiarily. Okay, here we go. This is from the Officer Tatum show, and you're about to see people. There they are down at the right. And there's actual video of people see the boat at about 1 o'clock. Oh, there we go. Excellent shot, guys. People are getting on, people getting off. And it keeps going to where you see everybody that got on the boat. But here's my big question tonight, before I can even get to the alleged witnesses that Tyler Cox is telling us about. Dave Mack, joining me, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Can I see the video again, please? Dave Mack, I'm seeing everybody preparing the Triton to go out, preparing to go out. And this shot, they're down at about 3 o'clock. Okay, keep looking. 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then suddenly you switch to a different camera. There you go. That's the boat. So, Dave Mack, where is the evidence? Where is the video of the boat? Is that Nolan right there? Walking along in the
like
light
him.
blue
I was just gonna say that.
shorts, and he at that time had on a white shirt. I think that's Nolan right there. Mm-hmm. Dave Mack, where is the evidence, the video evidence of them coming back?
Nancy, we have not seen evidence of them coming back. Remember, 3 boats caravanned out to the island, and then we have different stories about when they arrived back on the mainland. But we don't have video of any of them showing back up. So we don't have that
video.
Correct.
Okay, let's circle back to the alleged witnesses that he's a great trial lawyer, by the way. Wins a lot of cases. This Tyler Cox, he's representing the acquaintances that went to Horn Island with Nolan. I've got to get to the phone torpedo, but he's not the only one that says they have witnesses. Listen.
These 2 witnesses, 2 very reliable, very credible, and very upstanding members of the community, they saw Nolan, and they've known Nolan for years. There's no chance that they made a mistake. And by the way, this can be corroborated through other evidence, other eyewitness accounts. And that's the end of it right there.
That's from the Officer Tatum show. Susan Hendricks joining me, veteran, investigative journalist, author of Down the Hill, My Descent into the Double Murder in Delphi. What witnesses? I understand that there's video and witnesses. One places him there at 5, one places him there at 6. Significance, the Triton, and we can show this by GPS. They are right about this, left Horn Island around 4:30. So if he is spotted, and you can confirm to me that he is spotted there at 5 or 6. If that video has a timestamp on it, and I can corroborate that, or I can corroborate the witnesses weren't drunk. Hey, let's see that video control room again of Nolan bent over, and all you can see is his blue trunk right there. Now, that's not a very good eyewitness right there, okay? Do I think that's him? Yeah, I do. I do think that's Nolan. But I would tear that up in court. Tear it to shreds. There's all sorts of, you know what? Hold on, Susan Hendricks. Greg Morse joining me, veteran trial lawyer, founder of Morse Legal. He's in the Southern District of Florida, former West Palm Beach public defender, and author of The Untested. Greg, in Florida, as in Georgia, as in this jurisdiction of Mississippi, the code, the official code of Mississippi, annotated, lays out how you establish or cross-examine, same thing, same criteria, an eyewitness, such as, I memorized them. How far were you away from the witness? From the target. What was the lighting? Do you wear glasses? Were you wearing them that night? Were you inebriated? Had you smoked pot? How can you prove that to me? Did anything obstruct your view? Was it daytime or nighttime? What time of the day was it? What were the conditions? You go on and on and on. You can rattle them off, right? I know you can. So
absolutely.
How do I know the eyewitness can't identify anything except the back of his legs, like in that video?
Well, that's the thing. There's no details about any identification. It's just a broad statement that other people saw Nolan after the boat left. The video you just showed shows from a view from behind of someone bending over. Did the person have sunglasses on? Were they familiar with who they were actually looking at and identifying? How much had they drank during the day? It was a party scene. That's what usually these boat spots are. There's one by me in West Palm Beach, very similar setup called Peanut Island. So most people also, right, they don't think something's important until after the fact. They're just going about their day, notice people walking by. So from what you showed, that's not a very strong identification from that position, but there's no details.
While I've got you, Greg Morris, let me throw another question at you. And look, I'm not wearing a prosecution or a defense hat. As you know, I'm a crime victim. I would say I'm coming at it from that angle. But I was very disturbed, Greg, when I got wind that there is no criminal investigation. It's been said over and over and over. Why not? We don't know how he died. For instance, if he did have water in his lungs, okay, maybe he did drown. But how did he get in the water? Did he fall in the water? Was somebody, wrestling with him in the water and they held him down? They went, oh, my stars, I killed him and left. Did he hit his head?
Well,
there's a lot more to it than saying, oh, yeah, he drowned. How can someone state there is no criminal investigation? I understand a grand jury is about to be convened. That doesn't mean there's a crime, but doesn't that suggest to you a grand jury inside the Superior Courthouse, inside the district attorney's office, would suggest there is a criminal investigation?
Well, it would potentially lead someone to believe that, a criminal investigation was undergoing. However, when we look at how this has played out over the last 6 weeks, how law enforcement has acted, they haven't seized Nolan Wells' phone at this point. In a criminal investigation, law enforcement's going to use those tools to get this information.
Are you
this could just be a drowning. I'm sitting down, and this could just be a drowning. And that's why they're looking at it that way, because nothing's told them it's
yet.
But everything's not a crime. It doesn't have to be investigated as a crime.
You're still talking. We've already established that. Here's the other, you know what? I'm going to let you think about what you just said. I'm going to go to Jeff Shetler joining us. Guys, this is a special guest joining us out of Edisto Island, South Carolina. Former police canine handler, author of 5 books. Last one, 2 weeks to operational tracking. I like this one. Red Dog Rising, Canine Trailing, The Straightest Path, Tactical Tracker Teams, The Tao of Trailing. He is at GAK9.com. Question, I get this a lot from the viewers, so you can put it to rest. How long does a person have to be dead before a cadaver dog will pick up on that scent?
Well, honestly, a dog's going to pick up on the live or dead scent as soon as they're out there. So the time frame, from hours to a day or so is really not a big deal. It doesn't matter what type of dog you have that's looking for humans. Within that first 24 hours, either type of dog, a live find or a deceased person dog, is going to be viable. They're going to pick up on anything that's there. The big issue that we have here is primarily the contamination. After the fact, if the dog was placed at the scene initially to search for our victim, then the chances are the success rate would actually be pretty good. The island is very, very small. There's not a lot of hiding places. There's not a lot of places he could go. On the other hand, inside the water might be a different story. We have tide issues and everything else that are occurring there.
So you bring in a scent dog. I would assume you bring in a scent dog first. But the issue with that, in my mind, probatively, like what can I use? How can I use that in trial? What's it going to prove for me? I already know Nolan was on the boat to start with. So, of course, the dog is going to pick up Nolan's scent on the boat. That's not hard to figure out. So I know a scent dog is going to pick up on that. But a cadaver dog, what should have been done immediately with a cadaver dog. And I'm putting this out there not to say woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe it happened and we haven't been informed. The press, the media, has no right to information in an ongoing investigation. So this may have been done and we haven't been told. I can only pray. So regarding a cadaver dog, what should have been done, Jeff Shetler, and how should it have been done, and when should it have been done?
Lock down the location. Don't let anybody on there. Get the dogs in. See what type of reaction they have. Every second that goes by, every minute that goes by, every hour that goes by will have an impact on the dog work when it comes to age of the material, age of the odor, and more importantly, what your contamination factor is. And this is the one big thing that nobody ever really thinks about. They think the dogs are going to be these magical creatures that detect everything that you're looking for. But that's going to be mitigated dramatically by any type of human activity on the scene. That's the first thing that has to happen. So if you're going to use dogs, you need to get them out there right away. They actually have to be one of the first things on scene.
And see, I mean, even if he did, it doesn't make sense to me even if he was just drunk out of his mind to just walk into that water and just go and try to swim as far as he can. He knows that it gets very deep out there. That's not his first time being out there. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go swim and see how far I can get out there. And then just can't. He's so out of his drunk or just when you swimming against that current and them waves, man, you get tired fast. Cause I was in a lake and I did it, and I got really tired fast. I had to turn around and swim my tail back to land, but I just don't believe that he did that. You know what I'm saying? Just walked into that water and started swimming. But then you gotta look at the fact of the redness behind his head. Like he was hit or something. And for the life of me, I don't know why them boys was tracking that phone after they gave it to Nolan's mom's to Javon's mom. Why would they track it? They seen it was going to they seen it that the search party was going to Wyatt's house. He calls the police. Why would they be tracking that phone? What was going on? Why? It's not making no sense to me. So, and there's a lot of people saying these boys didn't have nothing to do with it, but everything is pointing towards those boys.
His hit YouTube show, Body Bags with Joe Scott Morgan. But most important, he is a death investigator with over 10,000 death scenes under his belt. Isn't it true, Joe Scott, that a cadaver dog, aka a human remains detection dog,
like Katie, huh?
can absolutely detect the scent of a dead person as early as 45 minutes to 3 hours after the death because of the cellular breakdown and organic compounds? Could you translate what I just said, which I've said in court before, into regular people talk?
Yeah, so our building blocks are cells, and so the cells begin to break down. And you're right. People don't understand that human decomposition literally begins at a cellular level the moment we're gone, okay? So the two compounds that you're looking for here when it comes to cadaver searches utilizing canine assets are putrescine and cadaverine, or cadaverine as well. And what they are, they're an organic compound that combine as a result of the cellular breakdown, and it gives off a particular odor. Now, to what Jeff was saying just a moment ago, if there is some type of, let's just say blood evidence, all right, on the boat, that I pray this boat was locked down quickly. If there's a point of impact, say, for instance, on a railing, any of the gunnels in there, those areas in there, and you have blood deposition, guess what happens, Nancy? That blood begins to break down, just like a body does. Okay, so you'll have the scent that is there, and it is wholly different than tracking a human. All right. Now, where else would you find it? Well, we know that Nolan's remains are allegedly found on the shore, right? They're allegedly right there. Now, we also know, and remember what the second autopsy said, he's in an advanced state of decomposition at this point in time. So the trick is here trying to
that's when he's
understand.
found on the beach. Hold
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
Joe Scott, that's when he's found on the beach. But my understanding, of course, I'm just a trial lawyer. I'm not a canine expert like Jeff Shetler is, but within minutes to hours, within minutes, dogs can pick up on the scent of human decomp. It starts almost immediately, and the dog can smell that.
You can say within 45 minutes, but I have to tell you, there is a lot of variability here, dependent upon a lot of environmental conditions, even the individual that is decomposing. That's going to play into it. So that's not a static number. It's a bracketed number. So you don't know how long it's going to take for this to actually begin to develop.
We also know that well-trained dogs like Jeff Shetler works with can still hit on decomp, even microscopic particles in soil, long after the body has been removed, sometimes years or even decades later, depending on the condition. But as Shetler just pointed out, in these conditions where the surface of the boat is exposed to water, to wind, to contamination, not so much. I'm going to circle back to Jeff in just a moment regarding any possibility of tracking human decomp or human scent on Horn Island. The thing is, we know he was there, so we know the dogs will hit on him being there alive. But what about dead? I also want to clear something else up, and this is really important. Greg Morse, these acquaintances that went out on the beach, I'm not razor locked on them. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at everybody. Who are these two witnesses? If they are telling the truth that Nolan Wells was on Horn Island at either 5 or 6 o'clock, then the acquaintances on the Triton are in the clear, because Morse, I know based on their GPS what time they left the island. So we have to keep our minds open as to what, who, what, where, why, the whole shebang. We can't lock in on those acquaintances if they had already left and he's still on the island. Is that true? I don't know, but it could be, right? Many an investigation has failed because the prosecutor did not keep their mind open as to potential suspects, right?
Well, that's 100% right. You know, the police have to keep an open mind here. It's not even a criminal investigation. So 6 weeks approximately has gone by. The folks that were on the boat with Nolan, nothing has come out even remotely to indicate they were involved in some foul play at this point at all. They're just people that went out to this island with their friend. It appears their friend may have stayed afterwards, and maybe a tragedy happened. Maybe something else happened that wasn't involving them.
A tragedy did happen.
6
Nolan
weeks.
Wells is dead, and I'm going to find out how. But I tell
Sure,
you what,
but you're talking
I
about
am
6
curious
weeks.
about why no
this is
polygraphs have been
isolated.
taken. I'm just
Why?
very curious.
But why?
But many
Why?
defense
For
lawyers
what?
wouldn't dream of letting their
They're
client
not
take charge.
suspects.
Let me get to
But
the phone.
Nancy, you're turning
Dear Lord.
what's not a
Of course they're
criminal
not suspects. You
investigation
said that
and
10
want the
times. You're
trappings
wasting
of
my time.
one.
Stop it.
But when you talk about
I see his
polygraph,
lips moving. He's talking. I hear. Okay, yeah.
They're not suspects, but like everybody's saying, if they were as a different race, they would be. And maybe you don't have to be suspects, but they were the last people to be seen with this young man. So why not take a lie detector test? Why not give up your phones? Supposedly, everybody let the police go through their phones, but how do we know that that's true? And what's so funny to me that I just cannot figure out is if this young man drowned on accident, got pushed out into the water, and then pushed back in, it's mighty funny that he got pushed back in and to the same area where they was hanging out at. Why not on the other side? Why not down a little further? They found him in the same area that they was hanging at. It makes no sense. We're also gonna get into this letter. Supposedly, it's a letter out there. Shout out to Willie D. We're gonna watch that and see what they say about this situation.
Just keep them just like that. Yeah, that's the way I like Morse. Don't hurt your head, Morse. Don't hurt your head. Okay. Susan Hendricks. Oh, my stars, Hendricks. The family is now seemingly being accused of wrongdoing because they haven't handed the phone over yet. What happened back on, I've got a big note here, phone July 15. Isn't that when the family had a meeting and said, yes, you can have the phone, but they want independent examiners there at the same time?
What's wrong with that?
Tell me July 15, what happened?
July 15th, the attorney for the parents of Nolan met and said, yes, we want to give over the phone, but we want someone in the middle here, someone from the outside, an expert to analyze the phone. It appeared everyone agreed. Then all of a sudden they get a letter saying, we want the phone and you have 24 hours to send it over. The DA sent that. And the parents were out of town and said, wait, we don't have the time to do that. Hence the narrative that they're not cooperating. Now, they say, Nolan's parents, look, we have our experts on standby. This week, pick a day. And not to mention, on the 19th would have been Nolan's 19th birthday. A difficult week for the family, but they say, hey, we'll give up his cell phone. We want someone, a mediator, if you will, an expert in the middle.
Well, this is interesting, what you just said. Joe Scott Morgan, professor of forensics, Jacksonville State University, I've been there, and it is a world-class Crim Pro division. Whole building, whole floor is set up just to recreate scenes. And I was so impressed by it. Joe Scott has worked with me on multiple recreations, intricate recreations at Jacksonville State University to try to figure out, is what the defendant is saying, does that make sense? Is what the state is saying, does that make sense? Just all sorts of things you can learn from actually recreating the scene. That said, Joe Scott, I have examined evidence myself at the crime lab. And the crime lab out on Panthersville Road is amazing, state of the art, with the defense attorney there. Mm-hmm. And I typically would not allow a defense team to examine the evidence unless I was there. Do I think they're going to do something nefarious? Maybe, probably not. But I don't want them to even touch it if it could somehow, compromise the evidence. And it can. A lot of the times, even touching it can compromise the evidence. So this is not unheard of, that the family wants an independent investigator there when the phone is searched.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. And it happens. Nancy, I've actually been in autopsy suites with defense attorneys, believe it or not. All manner of people come through the labs over the years as an independent set of eyes. So let's just say that they do, in fact, have an independent individual examine this phone. And I think this question goes back to you as a prosecuting attorney. Would any kind of findings that were on that phone, would they be negated as a result of the state not doing? If you wanted to move forward as using this evidence in a criminal prosecution, perhaps, would it invalidate it since the state is not doing it? And what are you going to find? And how many hands are going to be on this phone at that given time?
Are you saying that if the defense did their own investigation of the phone and the state did not, would that negate the defense findings?
Yeah, because remember, we've got a grand jury that's going to be impaneled, allegedly.
HELLYES. Because the first thing, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would do is, isn't it true? I gave you the opportunity to review the phone. Isn't that true? On this date. And you didn't do it. So don't come complaining now. Oh, yeah, that would be a matter for cross-exam.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, you know what I'm saying? They're going to turn around and know that the family is not available, and then start telling them they have 24 hours to give up the phone when they know that the family's not available. So the family is telling them, hey, you know, pick anytime this week, and we'll give up the phone, but we want our team to be there too. There's nothing wrong with that. I really don't believe nothing's wrong with that. Shout out to Nancy Grace, man. She, you know what I'm saying? She said, you know, she's not only looking at them boys, but who are these two witnesses? Who are these two witnesses? Man, so, you know, I was checking out some things today, and I actually, there's some lady that was on Willie D Live. They was talking about a whole nother situation, but what she said in this live that they had going on today, man, it really stood out to me. So I wanted to just bring that to y'all, and then we're gonna get back into this phone situation, and then I'm gonna go to this other thing that Willie D found out today too as well. Shout out to Willie D, man. He be coming with it. He comes with it. But check out, I think her name, what is her name? Uh what is her name? Teslin Figaro or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm just trashing your name, man. But listen to the knowledge she kicks in this right here.
People in the comments, I'm sorry to kind of interject here. I'm looking at people in the comments say, you know, they need better PR. You know, Willie and I had to see. I don't want better PR, Elliot. I don't. I want you to actually be who you are, because we are in a danger. I know you didn't say that, but I'm just saying people in the comments. No. Right now, we are in a very dangerous time. You know, I'm here to talk about the social justice piece. Even though I've been self-employed for the last 19 years, I won 2023 U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Entrepreneur of the Year. I've got 12 awards in business with 300 plus employees. It's important to lay that foundation out there so that people know I am not disparaging Black business. But what my issue is, and what I believe, and I do believe I am a cussing pastor, bootleg pastor. I don't think God puts me in, inserts me in something just because. For me, I walk with my steps being very ordered. And so I didn't know anything about these brothers. They came to me and then discounted me, were willing to choose to not have me on to talk about Nolan Wells and Carmelo Anthony because of their ego, entitlement, and their emotions. And that's why I'm having this conversation, because what I want those brothers to know, and any of you that think investment and money is always the ticket out, to Elliot's point, I want to be very clear. The two brothers that I were talking about, who are both 19, Carmelo Anthony, who is alive and well, we have a case for him on the 19th and the 20th to recuse his judge and to also ask for a new trial on the 19th. Pay attention, family. Also, Nolan Wells on the 19th in Mississippi. That is his birthday, for his 19th birthday. So the same day that we are celebrating the life of Nolan Wells, we are fighting for the life of Carmelo Anthony. So when I get inserted, it brought chills to me. When I get inserted into these conversations, what I want people to know is both of those families thought they escaped what they're dealing with. Both of those families, Elliot. Carmelo Anthony, you guys know, you guys are from Houston and Texas. I lived in Dallas. I lived in Houston. I too bought my first house and built my first house in Frisco, Texas. That's what Carmelo Anthony's family thought they were doing. They thought, you are familiar with Frisco, Elliot. I bought a house in Frisco in 2004. They thought if I moved to the suburbs, because his family's from New Orleans, they thought if I moved to the suburbs and just get a nicer place and raise a kid among white folks and just do the right thing and check all the boxes and do the investment and have the job and do this and do that, it still did not stop them sentencing him to 35 years in Collin County. This is what I need you investors to know. Carmelo Anthony, right now, we're fighting for his life with his parents checking all of the boxes. Let's look at Nolan Wells. His mother, nurse practitioner, nurse, high up. It's only 2 hospital systems in Mississippi. They are trying to take that woman's job, and she's checked all of the boxes. They did all the things. Nolan Wells, athlete, going off to college, did nothing wrong. And we still don't know what happened to Nolan Wells. So I'm not impressed by your investment and telling me, well, you don't get access to talk to people about invest. No, I want the community to know that sometimes we have to divest from some things. Moses never went to the promised land because he spent this time trying to get people on the same page. I want them to reconcile, but I also want to be clear about where we are. Do not come in talking about you're for the community and then say that you're not. Just be a businessman and just leave the community.
Hey, you heard what she said. She said on the 19th and the 20th, you know, Nolan Wells' birthday is on the 9th. They having that celebration of life with prayer rally. He's celebrating one life and trying to fight for another. Carmelo Anthony there trying to get another judge in there, try to have another trial going on for him. But see, you know what the main thing was? She said that they lived in these communities and they were checking all the boxes, doing the right thing. And look what's happening. You got Nolan Wells out there. Nobody in that community wants to come forth, help out. Then you got Carmelo Anthony out there. They just threw the book at him. His own defense. They didn't even fight for that young man. And it's crazy, man. You know, this whole thing that she's talking about, they were basically talking about it was a company called what is it called? Let me think of it. Invest Fest. That's what it's called. And the co-founder said something about he really isn't a part of the black community or something like that. So this is the whole thing about their conversation. So, you know, shout out to Tez. I don't know. I don't want to, you know, slander her name, but I know they was calling her Tez, so I'm gonna just keep it at that. And she really just spoke some knowledge right there. So I wanted to bring that to y'all, man. You know what I mean? Because she said you could be doing all the right things, living in the neighborhood, living in these decent neighborhoods, but then when something happens, you on your own butt, especially being a person of color. You know what I mean? And it's sad, man. You know, them people were just minding their own business. Nolan Wells was just trying to go out and have a good time before he goes back to college, trying to hang with some so-called he thought was friends. And it didn't turn out good for him, man. And it's sad. It's really, really sad. So I want to get into this right here. Shout out to Trent Out Loud. You know, he came with a video today. And he says that he's saying basically that the DA is supposedly investigating a crime, not a drowning. So let's just hope that that's what they're doing. I mean, but they still like really talking about this phone. They're just really want to get their hands on that phone. But Christine is like, not without my people standing there. My people got to be there too. So let's listen to shout out. Let's shout out to Trent Out Loud. Let's listen to him and see what he got going on.
According to inside information, the district attorney of Mississippi is not investigating a drowning, and she is investigating a crime. I am going to do something today that I rarely do on this channel. I am going to give you access to inside information that has not been made public yet. But before I do, please do not misconstrue anything in this video, because my daily listeners know I do not trust the district attorney of Mississippi, nor do I trust any government officials in Mississippi. And clearly, neither does Benjamin Crump or Nolan Xavier Wells' family. there could possibly be a major development in the Nolan Xavier Wells case. Sit back, relax. I'll tell you everything you need to know, and then I'll hand it off to you, the Out Louders. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. The Nolan Xavier Wells case is about to take a very, very sharp turn, and I want to make sure that I and you are ahead of it. This Monday morning, Benjamin Crump and his legal team sent off a fury of letters to the district attorney. There's one here right beside me. I will not read it in detail. I read a letter similar to this in yesterday's video. I'll pin it below in the comment section, and you guys could watch that video. What this letter is saying is the same one I read to you yesterday from August the 13th. And what it is saying is, we, the legal team, and Nolan Xavier Wells' parents are prepared to hand over the phone to the district attorney so long as the original agreement from July the 15th is met. And what is that agreement? Is that we look at Nolan's cell phone together with your people and our people. We will download it together so we both have access to the information at the same time. Now, this was Benjamin Crump's letter. Now, let me show you from a letter from Nolan Wells' estate. Again, you'll see here dated August the 17th, and it's Ben Crump letter was a follow-up to this letter. And again, it's saying the same thing. Nolan Xavier Wells' family, Christine and Elmore, are fully willing and prepared to hand over his cell phone. They gave them dates. Tuesday to Friday. We're available at any time. We just need 12 hours notice to have our experts come together, and you guys pick a date and time. We will be there. But once again, we're not just handing it over to you to do whatever you want. We need to jointly do it because that's what we agreed upon in our July 15th meeting. Again, I'm not going to go into details. Click on the video below for the full breakdown of the agreement. Now, why are we talking about this cell phone? Why are these letters? Why is everything revolving around Nolan's cell phone? For the past month, everyone's been talking about the boat, Officer Tatum, Nancy Grace, this or whatever, and everybody has had a ton of theories, the CETO call. Why now is everything involving the phone? And why are these legal documents getting sent out last Thursday, Friday, and now today? And that is what I'm going to share with you guys because I have some inside information about that. Before we get to that inside information, I want to take you back to last Thursday when former Officer Tatum was on Nancy Grace. We also covered this interview, and Tatum said something about the cell phone. Nancy's producers didn't do their job. I called them out and I said, you guys should have prepared Nancy, because Nancy at that time didn't know about the agreement, the July 15th agreement that Christine said that, hey, we are holding back the phone until we both jointly inspect it. Officer Tatum said to Nancy, hey, Nancy, from what I understand, Nolan's mom still has the phone. And then former Officer Tatum, I'm going to play you the clip right now. He goes on to say, hey, Nancy, maybe the Mississippi DA and the police have not gotten Nolan's phone, maybe because it was a drowning and maybe they don't need to look in the phone. The only reason they would need to look in Nolan's phone is if they're investigating a crime. Listen to former Officer Tatum.
Well, you're going to have a reason to get a warrant. And if it's a criminal investigation and they believe that they can find evidence of a crime, if they had access to his phone, I could see them getting a warrant to extract his phone. But if you're looking at a potential drowning and there is no criminal element involved, Nancy, there could be two things afoot. I'm not a part of the investigation, but I can see if they haven't gotten the phone yet, It's because they don't need the phone and they don't want the phone. It's not there of evidentiary value if there is no suspect here. If it was a drowning and there's indications of a drowning, they may not need it, Nancy, so they're not going to go get it. If they need it, they would have already had it a month ago. If they need it, they would have already had it a month ago.
So if we go by former Officer Tatum's framework, then that would mean the DA is possibly investigating a crime because they sent out a letter to Christine and Benjamin Crump and the entire legal team saying, we need you to hand over Nolan's phone in the next 48 hours, but they want to negate the July 15 agreement. Why? Again, watch yesterday's video. Okay. That put out some light bulbs yesterday, and it got me to making some calls. And I will let you guys into some inside information, and I won't be able, unfortunately, to be too direct, but y'all are smart and y'all will be able to figure it out. So it's safe to assume that the DA now is investigating a crime and not a drowning, correct? Because they want the phone in 48 hours. Shout out to Christine and Ben for not handing it over and not giving them the phone and demanding they stick to the agreement to duly forensic investigation. Also, I have it on good information that the DA is preparing to go to the grand jury in the next 30 to 60 days. Now, think about something. They found Nolan's body July the 6th. They've been investigating since July the 7th. Remember the 6th, it was like, oh, no evidence of foul play. But now it went national. They started investigating. So they've been investigating since July the 7th. Now, today was August the 17th. Add 60 more days. We're going on to like 90, 100 days.
Right.
If this was just a drowning, do you need 90 days to investigate? And then now you add on to the stuff, hey, we need the phone in 48 hours. But hold on, there's more. Let me cook. The autopsy was completed close to 2.5 weeks now, if not 3. And the toxicology. When they say the autopsy has been 100% complete, that means toxicology. That means that part is done. Mm-hmm. If Nolan Wells just drowned and there was no foul play, they would have gone to the grand jury already. It doesn't take that long to convene them. Certainly not another 60 days, certainly not 100 days. So keep in mind also, too, the autopsy, toxicology is complete, but they still need 60 days. Now, here is where you're going to have to put your thinking caps on and read between the lines. If y'all been following this from the beginning, from around July the 7th, July the 8th, former Officer Tatum and people on the other side have been alluding to the fact that it was just a drowning, nothing happened. And then around 2 weeks ago, they started changing their narrative saying, we think that something may have happened, but it's just not our boys. Morgan, Jax, and Warren. That's when you saw the father coming in, Benjamin Hudson. He's putting up the $50,000 for reward. He's threatening to sue Benjamin Crump and Al Sharpton. It was like, yeah, maybe something happened, but it's not our boys. Okay. Why do you think now that the boys are doing so many interviews that are going viral? The lawyers are doing so many interviews that are going viral. We tried our best to not platform them, but we had no choice. It worked. But think about something. It's 2026, Mississippi. If this goes to trial, which if you put 2 and 2 together, the phone, the autopsy, the 100 days, grand jury, we might have a trial. Who is going to be the jury in that trial? The Americans, the Mississippi people? So perhaps, maybe, allegedly, these boys might be out there on social media to try to paint a narrative for, I don't know, maybe potential jurors. Maybe they're trying to do something that rhymes with paint, if you get what I'm saying. You see where I'm going with this? If you didn't watch yesterday's video, make sure you click it And just look at what I put on the thumbnail. Look at what the top word is. Cover up. So maybe this might not be a drowning, but maybe they might be trying to allegedly maybe point the finger in somebody else's direction. I don't know. I don't know. And maybe they're trying to do something that rhymes with paint. Read between the lines. Now, the last thing I'm going to tell you is, if you notice, former Officer Tatum, who was the mouthpiece for these boys, who did he interview? Warren, Tristan. Then the second interview, who did he interview? Warren again, Jackson Morgan. The lawyers, we call them on this channel Little Tyler and Little Eddie. The lawyers, who are they representing? Warren, Jax, Morgan. And they say, our boys didn't do this. We have nothing to do with this. Those three boys. Notice who is not being represented. Do the math. I don't want to say the name because I don't want this video getting taken down. I'm not afraid of them suing me or whatever, but I don't want this video getting flagged because they could do some stuff. Think about the Cito call. Damn it, who? You put it in the comment section. Who is not being represented? Who is talked about a lot before the second interview? Who is spoken about? Whose name started coming up? Who is a potential NFL football player whose father is an ex-football player, a punter? Who holds weight in that town? Imagine a small town, you're an NFL player, you're a future NFL, and your son's a future NFL player? How come he's not being represented? How come Little Tyler and Little Eddie are not being represented? How come Little Eddie and Little Tyler are not representing this person who I don't want to say? And his name has 4 letters. Damn it, who? Y'all, I know y'all will put it in the comment section. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. So to sum that all up, okay. So it's not going to come out that it's a drowning. Okay. You need his phone. You want his phone rushed and you want it in 24 hours and you no longer want to do it jointly together like you agreed upon July the 15th. Why? Because July the 15th, y'all were prepared to just say, well, yeah, it was a drowning and done it. But now, because of the good people on social media, the Cito call, the this, the that, the internet sleuths that have discovered all of these things, y'all know that you cannot just come out here and be like, yeah, it was a drowning, because you know that the spotlight is on Mississippi. So that's why I said at the beginning that, not saying that I trust them, and because they're investigating a crime, do I think actually we will get justice? Because I'm not too sure the right people will be arrested for this crime. This is what I'm saying. But maybe they've gotten together and say, well, it won't be all of us, but maybe we'll just pin it on one person. One person who is not represented by these 2 lawyers, and one person's name who you haven't heard in the past couple of weeks. 4 letters. Cito call. Damn it. Y'all know. Okay. That's all I'm going to say here for now.
I mean, I thought he had his own attorney. You know, I'm not going to say his name either, but we all know who he's talking about. I thought he had his own attorney, as well as Wyatt. Thought Wyatt had his own attorney. So, we still don't know. And what he was just saying, I know he was cooking. Shout out to Trent Out Loud. But what he was saying, it doesn't make any sense because, not what he was saying, but what they're saying is it's going to take another 30 to 60 days. For what? Why? It makes no sense. And if they're so in a hurry to get this phone, why are they not in a hurry to release the other body parts? We all know that they found something. We all know that because if you didn't know from the beginning of it, before all this, when they shipped the body to DC and parts was missing, that should have told you that they found something. Now they want the phone. They're having issues with the phone, and they trying to play these games with the family. They wanted the phone at this certain time when they knew the family wasn't going to be available to give them the phone, or the team that the family wanted to be there when they, I guess, open up this phone. They weren't available at that time that they wanted this phone. There's a lot of games being played, ladies and gentlemen. There is a lot of games being played. But we all know, everybody knows. So do those boys. And I don't know, what he said makes a lot of sense. Maybe they are going on these interviews. They said somebody said they was just trying to do a tour. They're going viral, going on these interviews. But you remember what I told y'all in my last live? Those boys are talking entirely too much. If they were in some kind of trouble, or if there was just a little teeny ounce of doubt, you hear me? A little teeny ounce of doubt, those attorneys would be telling them, hell no, no interviews. STSU. You know what I'm saying? STFU. We ain't saying nothing. If there was some type of just a doubt that, you know, they could be reliable for this, because it's all out in the open. It's all out in the open. They can't go back and change nothing, because look at all the content creators. Look at all the podcasters that has all these interviews recorded. So they already know that they're in the clear. They already know what happened. Allegedly. I'm just gonna say allegedly. But they know what happened. They really do. That's why they're doing all these interviews. Cause when it all comes out, oh, Tatum gonna say, I told you these boys didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't say nothing about, I didn't say nothing about that. But these right here, come on, man. You was talking about all them young men. You know you was. So we still back on the phone issue. We're gonna get back to something else that I found about the phone situation. I mean, this phone is becoming a very important piece to this situation, to this case. I'm gonna say to this case. Now it's all about the phone. It's all about the phone. We're gonna play this one more video, and then we're gonna get into this thing that happened in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I'm gonna end the show. Stick with me, y'all, because I'm gonna end the show with this letter that Willie D found. So shout out to Hype TV, Hype News, I'm sorry. Like I told y'all from the rip, you know, these aren't my videos. I'm just reacting to them. So shout out to Hype News about the phone. I don't understand it, But everything is about the phone now, just like Trent Out Loud said. Let's go.
Reporting live from Ivers Club, Fright Plus News, I'm John Abba.
To Nolan Wells' mother, do not give them people that phone. They tried to be slick with that.
Bart Edmondson's attorney appears to now have sent a diss at Nolan Wells' family amid controversy surrounding the surrendering of Wells' phone for inspection with the DA's office. As you should know at the top of this story, Nolan Wells' mother would express her concerns on the activity and non-activity of Wells' phone on July 4th when he first went missing. According to Christine Wansley, two main things stood out for her. One was the location of the phone, apparently showing two different locations on two separate apps. And when Wells' two Snapchat accounts were reviewed by his family, there were no pictures or messages from that day, causing his mother to assume that those items must have been deleted because Nolan was someone who would generally document his times with friends for his social pages. On Good Morning America at the top of July, Wansley would share the moment when she first looked at Wells' phone for clues surrounding his disappearance and later death. When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had two accounts. Absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. Even my sister was like, yeah, that's suspicious. Now, at the center of the case lies the lack of trust Wells' family has shown for local law enforcement, causing them to move cautiously. For many, the lack of trust would start when the sheriff assigned to the case would end up expressing that he did not see any signs of foul play before an autopsy was even completed. As previously reported, Ben Crump, lead attorney for Nolan's family, would share that during a meeting with the Mississippi DA, Angel Myers-Mickelrath, they would agree to investigate Wells' cell phone together, and even with the possibility of the FBI being present. Last week, however, it was revealed that the DA's office would later send an email demanding the phone be surrendered and that they had 48 hours to do so. Now, this demand would later be replied by Nolan's family with a reminder of what was agreed upon and that a 48-hour window as they traveled outside of Mississippi was unreasonable. Now it appears that one of the friends who have been criticized by many online's attorney is jabbing at the Wells family. Over on his Facebook page, Bart Edmondson's family attorney, Russell Latina, would write, "You know who did give the investigators access to information on their phones without warrants or list of conditions and right after the events of July 4th? Nolan's friends." As you should know, due to the now infamous CETO call that would be leaked online, Edmondson, a former teammate of Wells, would be accused by online users as the person behind Wells' passing, after "Damn it, Bart" would be heard in the background.
Shut the fuck up! Damn it, Bart.
On Monday, as a way to assure the DA and supporters that they are fully aligned with having Wells' phone finally examined, Crump would send out a statement that read, "We are eager to comply with the agreement we entered on July 15th, which is a joint forensic examination of Nolan's phone conducted together with their experts, our experts, and possibly the FBI. Our experts are on standby. The family is ready. We have given the district attorney's office 4 days to choose from this week, and we will make ourselves available on 12 hours notice for any of them. The family wants Nolan's phone examined right away with both parties in the room. All parties agreed on July 15th that we share the same goal, which is determining the circumstances surrounding Nolan's death. The family is ready to move forward on that goal this week."
I'm going to tell you what's going on. Let me tell you something. Old girl in Mississippi, she think that whatever she say, go. They think that they could just say whatever they want to say, do whatever they want to do, because that's how they do in their little old town in Mississippi. But the ones they got, she would be a fool to give that phone up. Do not give them people your phone. Not singly, hell no. I'm not, because you know what they're going to do? All they're going to do, they're going to extract everything off that phone. And once they take everything off that phone, it's over. You can only extract it once. And then they're going to take that and they're going to stick it up under that whole grand jury crap. And I guarantee you, the mama, nobody will know what exactly they extracted from that phone. Okay, and they're going to utilize the phone too to go through it and see what else they can dig up about Nolan Wells to discredit him. They'll probably try to see if they can find videos of him drinking or smoking or whatever. They're going to do some. I'm telling you, listen. The best thing for her to do is not give them the phone. And just because that lady said, "Oh, you got 48 hours," okay, boo, and you got 48 hours to wipe your butt with this paper. Because what I'm not finna do is give you my son's phone. And everybody keeps saying, well, what is she hiding? It ain't got nothing to do with the fact of what I'm hiding. That ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. That's my son's phone. That's my child's phone. So it ain't like she be on the phone doing stuff or anything crazy like that. So y'all act like she got something to do with it. No. And here's another thing. Y'all are mad. Y'all are mad because that fund me money is being utilized. It's being utilized, and it is getting her the best counsel because she has 3 different firms working. She even has a private investigator. So yeah, they are mad, and they are waking up every single morning counting her GoFundMe money.
To Nolan Wells' mother, do not give them people that phone. They tried to be slick with that, and that's how I know it's something in their phone. Y'all knew them people wasn't in town, and y'all tried that. Y'all tried to be slick. It's a lot of slimy, conniving bullshit with this case, and I just don't understand why it ain't so simple. When it's the law and justice, as they foretell us, we should go seek justice and law, and don't put the law in your own hands. But see, when you start playing with people's emotions and feelings, and then people start wanting to act out, then y'all gonna say people are crazy. Nobody's crazy. You playing with people's times and you playing with people's time and their intelligence. We're not stupid. We're not stupid, Mississippi. We see what you're doing. I mean, hello? 48 hours?
48 hours, everyone has been speaking about Nolan's phone. And why has it not been handed over to the police, to law enforcement? Are you kidding me? How is that even a question? How is that even a question? Are people not aware how America runs? How the system is towards Black people? Are you like...
As far as the DA's response, a statement has yet to be released to add further comment or confirm if a date has been selected. Bart Edmondson, Warren Hudson, Jack Spatalo, Morgan Seymour, and others continue to state their innocence in regarding the disappearance and death of Nolan Wells. Let's talk about it more in the comments below. How do you feel about Edmondson's attorney's response to Wells' family's hesitation with surrendering his phone? Or do you agree?
Like I said, man, like there's something about this phone that they're trying to get. But I've told y'all I think last 2 or 3 lives, when they said that the body was shipped to DC and some of the parts was missing, right? So that should have told everybody right there that they found something. Now they want this phone, and then also they're saying there's going to be another 30 to 60 days for this grand jury to do whatever they got to do. These boys are out here doing these interviews, just talking all willy nilly because they know I'm just gonna say allegedly, they know what happened. They probably feel like, okay, so it happened, we seen it, but we didn't have no part in it. So some in that little crew, somebody did something, and I don't know if they're trying to kind of soften the blow when they end up, I guess, getting the person who did it, because there's somebody in that crew, and we all know who it is. I'm not gonna say the name because I don't want to get in trouble, but we know who it is, and it has something to do with this man right here. So I just feel like they're trying to soften that blow. When it comes down to it, they're taking their time. I don't understand why the grand jury has to take 30 to 60 days for this grand jury. I do not understand that. Now they're talking about this phone. They tried to make a situation about the phone, told them they had 24 hours to give them the phone. But I guess the Nolan, they knew that the Wells family or the Wansleys was out of town, so they couldn't get the phone to him at that time. So now they sent over a letter this morning, I believe, and said, hey, anytime this week we can do this, but we want our team to be there too. So I don't know what's gonna come about that, but I just really feel like they're kind of taking their time because I guess they're trying to see how they're gonna go about it because the person that has something to do with this unaliving of this young man, he's a big wheel in this town where his family is. So allegedly. So I'm just gonna say that, but I really feel like that's what they're doing. So I mean, y'all stick with me now. You gotta stick with me. I'm gonna play the. I have to show this one thing about the situation that happened in Raleigh, North Carolina. Then I don't know if you all have seen this, but this letter that Willie D somehow found on the online. We're gonna watch that because that is like really tripped out. Whoever wrote that letter was on to something. I'm hoping that it's real. But if it's not, man, people need to stop playing like that. But I really hope that it's real. And it just stick with me. I'm gonna play this little situation here about the man that they found in Raleigh, Carolina. So this guy, shout out to Taylor House Publishing. He went out to the scene where they found the guy. I believe Sunday, yesterday. He went out there to the place where they found the guy. Said that he was, this happened when they had that Caribbean Fest, and also there was a firemen's convention at a hotel. Back where they found this young man in this tree. So they said the firemen came out there, did what they had to do, they left. They didn't even tape it off. But today, he said he ran down onto Raleigh, North Carolina cops and asked them about this situation, and they had some crazy stuff to say about it. So let's listen to this. Then I'm gonna get into that letter. So let's check this out.
So why are the police out here? If it's just like why?
All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. And as the scripture says, take no part in the works of darkness, rather expose them, for it is a shame to even speak of what they do in secret. And that is a video of yesterday, a group of concerned citizens out in the Raleigh area, concerned about the death of a young man who was found in a tree Saturday, and this was Sunday. And you see us coming together in a meeting, and then the police, in true intimidating fashion, came out with unmarked cars and, talking and parking like they do, letting us know that they were watching us, as well as they were flying a drone above us. Now, me, once again, I'm very confrontational. So I wanted to ask the police why they were there, because now they're coming out and said our brother's self-unalived. So why are you there if this is what it was? And to me, it was a true intimidation factor. So I had to run up on them and let them know what the people felt. And this is that conversation. Just listen.
How y'all gentlemen doing? Pretty good, man. What y'all out here to help us out, man? Yeah.
I'm feeling for these poor young men over here.
Where's that at?
Football practice. Them young men are sweating themselves to death over there this afternoon.
Well, you know who we feeling for? The young man that was hung from a tree right across from the Wake building. Right. Y'all don't know about that? That don't concern y'all as police officers?
We're aware. Yes, sir.
Oh, it's investigating?
It's being investigated.
By who?
Police department.
Oh, it is, because I know they said it was only being investigated by the state medical examiner.
Which is through our police department.
Yeah, but the state medical examiner is just the one who determines how the person died, not how they got there, right? The state medical examiner is the one who examines the body. They don't examine the scene and look at the cameras. Huh? Y'all already had the scene examined. What did y'all find? Do y'all think as police officers, as white men, that black men are just hanging themselves from trees these days? Like, honestly.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. As a white man, I don't feel comfortable answering the question.
But you know the history of significance of hanging from trees in America, right?
Sure.
So do y'all think really that when we believe it, do y'all think we believe that, black people are doing that?
I think at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the color is, sir. Everybody makes their own choices at the end of the day.
Okay. But you don't find that strange though, right? In broad daylight too, like right in front of the weight department building, that doesn't seem strange to y'all?
So people do things for their own reasons.
Yeah, but people also did those things for their own reason too, right?
They did.
So y'all just automatically rule out that somebody with that same ideology could have did that. Do y'all?
So I'm not. So neither one of us are involved in that investigation.
Yeah, I'm just talking about as general, talking as two human beings.
Right.
You can't, as a human being, not as an officer, rule out that somebody did that, right? Because you wasn't there, right? Yeah. So you don't know. Somebody could have did that to him, right?
He could have done it to himself. Somebody could have done it. Anybody could have done it.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a far-fetched thing to think, right?
Right. But again, as I said, he could have done it to himself. We don't know yet. That's why it's still an active investigation.
Well, the guy who was there when y'all found him said y'all didn't ask him no questions. Y'all?
Again, I wasn't there yesterday. So I don't know what may have transpired when they found him.
Oh, okay. Then lady,
I don't talk out of church. So
talk out of church. What that mean?
That means if I don't know about it, I don't talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Speculation gets everybody in trouble.
Nah, sometimes speculation makes things happen. Back in the days, nobody couldn't talk about this. Everybody just rolled, like police officers like yourself. When people got found hung from trees, they just rolled by and, okay, well, we know who did it. It was Sheriff Bob over there in the next town. You understand what I mean? So, yeah, that's why we talk about it. Because back then, we couldn't talk about it or we would be the next person on a tree. So now we can talk about it and express these things that we don't think that people did that to themselves. Because back then, it was the police like yourself doing that. You know that?
I'm aware of the history, sir.
Okay. Well, that's that. So if we're aware of the history, then it's not too far-fetched to think that. Actually, what they had the funeral service for the guy who actually escaped a lynching by 2 Wake County deputies. You know that yesterday?
Yes, sir.
See, so you know that. So then we have this, and then we just say, oh, no, he just did it to himself. That's what we're supposed to say.
Sir, explain to you, sir. I'm trying to be nice and polite.
Oh, and I'm just talking as a human being. If you don't want to continue the conversation, you don't have to.
It's an ongoing investigation. Like I said, I'm not privy to.
I'm not talking to you as a police officer. I'm talking to you as a man, as a human being. I'm not asking you to give me. I'm just having a conversation as a human being. So you don't have to say, well, I'm not a part of it. We know that. We've always established that. We're just having a conversation about lynchings in America and them being done by police, Wake County police in America. Like a guy just died 2 days ago. You know what I'm saying? But was buried 2 days ago who escaped the lynching. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying you did it. I'm not saying you did it. But I'm saying it was done by police in my lifetime because that guy just died. So that was my lifetime. So I don't think it's far-fetched for me to say, whoa, maybe the police did it. Yes, sir. All right, well, you guys have a nice day, man. All right.
Okay, so that was...
Yeah, he is kind of confrontational with it, man. He's talking about, man, the police did that lynching in the 60s. That's what he's talking about. But I don't know, man. I just want to see what comes about this. I mean, the guy was a young man. He was 17 years old. They said he was homeless. And it was done like downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, and there was so many cameras out there. So if he done it to himself, they're gonna come out. They're gonna be quick to come out and say that. So I guess that's what we are waiting for, man. Shout out to Taylor House Publishing. Shout out to this man. He was really confrontational with them police officers, man. That's crazy. All right, so here we go, man. I'm finna get into this letter that Willie D, he came online with it, and it was about the Nolan Wells situation, about this case. Somebody put this letter out there, and it's basically explaining the night of July 4th where this happened to Nolan Wells, and they're saying that somebody did this, and they're saying that I'm just gonna say they're saying that they did it, they held on to the body, and then dumped it. Cause it's mighty funny. It's really funny, man, that okay, so say like it was an accidental drowning. He goes and it washes him out to the ocean, and then he turns around and it washes them back into the same place that they was partying at. That makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, I could see if he would have been like if it washed back up, his body washed back up and it was way down on the other end, but they literally found it around the same place that they were at. So it just seems like somebody dumped it. But let's get into this right here.
Willie D Live.
What's up, fam?
And once again, these aren't my videos. I'm just reacting to them. So shout out to Willie D.
Well, what do we have here? A mysterious letter pops up on the internet providing a motive in the Nolan Wells case. Yeah, fam, let's get right into it. Now, at times it's going to be hard for me to articulate exactly what is happening here, what's being said, because the letter, the writing is not great, but it's good enough to get an idea of what this person is trying to say. At the top, it says left Evans house at 10:30 a.m. on boat to Island. That's July 4th. This letter is dated. Okay, so we say, we got to the party island. We had alcohol. I may have drank a half, if not a whole seltzer throughout that entire time. Was worried about returning for his second swim. He didn't want to ruin his chances. He's talking about Nolan. Cell service sucks here, Nolan. Imagine something happening to you and not being able to call out for help. This is Wyatt saying this, allegedly. Nolan side eyes and dismisses the comment. Nolan snaps a photo or video of something. Wyatt had been sniffing the cocaine all morning. Wyatt tries to grab the phone or tells him to put it down, and Nolan jerks the phone. This feels what would lead to Nolan's death later. Let's see, approximately 12 hours later, Nolan was already having an inkling that he shouldn't go to the pool party later. Him and Wyatt had animosity for a while, more so Wyatt, because Nolan was, I don't know what that word is, but the next word says back. He forgave easy and didn't hold grudges. He was the peaceful friend, the conflict solver in most of his social group. He had several, maybe 3, and the rest of that part is kind of watered out there. Let's go to the second page right here, and it continues. Nolan was only put on the boat to be transferred back to the island around 3 to 5 a.m. on July 6th. That's why he wasn't found initially on the island. He was stored somewhere cool and dark as to keep decompositioning at a minimum. But it's summer. He already started to have a hint of smell permeating the shaded area. It's an area of property him and his friends hiked or hung around. And yes, it's one of his friends' property. Somebody got to form a hiking trail, maybe both. Somebody cried, Wyatt or Warren. Somebody is scared to speak.
Eric. Somebody was, looks like they're a theatrical. I can't make that.
That looks like threatened to me. He says he can't make it out, but it kind of looks like threatened to me. What do y'all think?
Out. All of them are being hunted. Nolan decided to unfriend this group, and they couldn't accept it. And this, my friends, as far as this person is concerned, believes this is the ultimate motive. Now, I have not been able to authenticate this letter. I don't know. It's floating around the internet. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this letter. It's pretty detailed. It sounds plausible. This is not the first time that we heard that Nolan had an issue, or they had an issue about Nolan going to Horn Island. What we heard initially was that Nolan was that the friends the so-called friends that was on the boat with him was having some trepidation about him going. They didn't want him to go for whatever reason. There was something about a girl, something about, whatever it was. They didn't want him to go. Somehow, some way he ends up going anyway. But now this letter says that no, Nolan is the one who had some trepidation about going with them, but he went anyway. Because remember now, Nolan is the peacemaker. There's even a video out there of a fight happening and Nolan stepping in and making peace. He was the peacemaker. So ain't that strange? How ironic that the peacemaker ends up dead out of all of the people. You got all the hotheads. They survive, but the peacemaker ends up dead. So if Nolan indeed was murdered, which I do believe he was, he didn't start it. We know that because by all accounts, Nolan was the peacemaker. Somebody's gonna put this story all the way out. At some point, somebody got to come forward and collect that reward money. It's $125,000 up right now. I do know that Mississippi is not an ideal place to live for a progressive person. People who, love technology and advancement. People who want to get, grow, evolve in life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Mississippi is not the place for these type of people. Mississippi is one of those places where most people go, I do believe, so that they can live in the past. They're stuck. And they get to be, kings and queens because they can't compete nowhere else. That's right, I said it. Now, if the shoe don't fit you, don't try to put it on. Don't try to put it on. But if it fit, lace it up. I'm talking about the ones who the shoe fit. They move to Mississippi so they can have that good old boy type of life. So they can go back and revisit the past. That's what that's about. I know you. I studied you. Yeah, I studied you. Mississippi, a lot of the people in Mississippi who are, who work in all these type of industries, who, get money and, they're thriving, they're mediocre. They couldn't make it anywhere else. They can't make it in any other states. But Mississippi is wide open for the yeah. Yeah. Again, fam, I gotta call a strike the ball a ball. If you're not in that category, I ain't talking to y'all. I ain't talking to you. But y'all know who I'm talking about. The ones who are, the mediocre ones, the ones who are out there terrorizing people, breaking laws, trying to subjugate justice. Trying to circumvent justice. I'm talking to y'all. all of y'all, we know Nolan was murdered. And it's going to come out. It's going to come out one way or the other. It's too big. It's too much interest in it. Too many. Y'all messed up on this one. Yeah, y'all been able to, do your thing and get away with a whole lot, but y'all ain't gonna get away with this one. Well, let me back up. I can't say you won't get away with it, but it won't remain a secret. How about that? It will not remain a secret because it's way too many people who know what's going on. It's way too many prying eyes, way too many people know, and too many youngsters know, right? That's a big burden. That is a huge burden. Let's say if the youngsters, who are average 18 years old, they live to be another 50 years, 50, 60 years. You know how hard it is to keep a secret like that, a murder secret? All of them are going to have spouses at some point. They're going to have boyfriends and girlfriends. They already don't have them. They're going to, they got siblings, they got parents, they got friends, co-workers, priests. They're going to tell somebody, and somebody going to tell somebody who's going to tell somebody. So it's going to get out sooner or later. All of you out there who got some information, might as well try to beat them to the punch and go and get some money out of it. $125,000 on the table, man, that's a lot of money. That could be life-changing money for some people. And you can go and move somewhere else, like get out of Mississippi. You ain't got to live in Mississippi. You can get out of Mississippi and live around some civilized people. Yeah. You ain't got to be in Mississippi. You can leave. This is a really horrible situation here. And the people who did it, they need to be brought to justice, because if they get away with this one, what's going to stop them from getting away with another one? No more talk.
Shout out Willie D. Shout out Willie D, man. I mean, dang, that's crazy. If that letter is even somewhat true, that's terrible. Hey, but that's all I got for y'all today. But I am gonna say this, what I'm thinking. First of all, I just feel like that MDMR, I don't know why the sheriff's department took them off the case. It seems like they were on to something. If you look at all the police reports and how they were interviewing everybody, and the interview that Christine and, her husband did, she was saying that they kept giving her the runaround. Like, she went to the MDMR first, and they said it wasn't their jurisdiction, Ocean Springs Police, so forth and so on. So the MDMR, I guess they took it on, and they was, they was on it. They was on it, doing the interviews, finding out stuff, and then once they get to Wyatt's house and check the tracker on this boat, then the sheriff's department called and said that they were taking the lead on it and they can be number two. And I feel like they did that because, the sheriff is really close to the judge. They're all close. They in it together, not just maybe not friends, but on business, too, because certain situations happen there. They have to go to the judge to get the judge to sign arrest warrants and stuff. So they really know each other. And I feel like that judge was out there on one of those boats. This is how I feel. It's my opinion. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I really do feel like she was out there. On that CETO call, it sounds like an adult woman who says, "Can we cover this up?" If you really listen to it, because in that call, when it says, "Can we cover it up?" you could tell the voice, and then you can tell the voice of like a teenage girl when she says, "Oh my God," you can hear that. all that other stuff, I'm gonna be honest, I really couldn't hear how they were saying Nolan's name, but I heard that "damn it, Bart" too. Heard that. I heard that part. I don't understand. I really don't understand why they had to track that phone after they gave it to Javon's mom. Why did they track that phone and find out that this search party was going to Nolan's house? It was headed to Nolan's house. He called the police and told them, "Hey, can y'all go stop these people because they're gonna tear. I guess they're gonna scare my mom and my parents, and they don't know nothing about this situation." You know what I'm saying? They were headed there to go see what was going on, what was on that boat, and he could have been on that boat. They pulled it in it. They pulled it in there in the driveway, or whatever, covered it up. He could have been on there. So they called the police to stop them. And he says, "Hey, my mom and them don't know nothing about this situation. I don't want them scaring my mom and dad." Why do they not know that your good friend is missing? Remember in the interview, they said that Nolan and Wyatt's father were really close. They used to sit back and watch Scarface. So if you know that your buddy's missing and he's really a really good friend, your dad really liked him, wouldn't you tell him? I mean, it doesn't matter what time of the night it is. Like, "Hey, Nolan's missing, Dad." He tell his mom too, "Hey, he's missing. We need to go out and go look for him." Something like that. And for the life of me, I don't understand when they were having this search party. If he's such a good friend, if he's a brother, why were y'all eating breakfast while everybody is searching? All this stuff doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. None of it does. And it's really sad. I don't understand why these boys is out talking like this. Well, I kind of do. I kind of do. I really do. I feel like that they know what happened. They know that their hands aren't dirty. They know it. So that's why they're talking so much. But you can see it's starting to they're starting to distance themselves. Like Bart has his own attorney, Wyatt has his own attorney. Them three boys, they got the same attorney. So everybody's starting to distance themselves. So I really feel like the truth is coming. I just don't know why they're trying to say that this grand jury is going to take 30 to 60 more days. I don't understand that. If it was just an accidental drowning, they know they found something. That's why they didn't send all the parts to Washington. They know they have something. That's why they want that phone. I believe Katie knows something too. I really believe she knows more than what she's saying. I really do. Anyways, man, you guys let me know how y'all think. What y'all feel down in the comments. Really appreciate y'all rocking with me. This is all I have for today. And if you can hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, become a part of the J Crew. Yeah. Hey, all I can say is rest in peace, Nolan Wells, man. I mean, I really hope they get down to the bottom of this because, like he said, if they get away with it this time, they're gonna try to do it again and again and again. And Mississippi is always gonna have that on their backs. They should be able to stop at least one of them. This is 2026. This stuff shouldn't be happening at all. So rest in peace, Nolan Wells. His birthday is coming up. They're having that little national prayer for him. They also, the lady said that that same day or the day after, they're going before the judge or going before, I guess, the Supreme Court or whatever they got to do to try to help Carmelo Anthony out. I really hope that they can do that. But all this is happening around the same day or the day after. She said they're celebrating a life while they're trying to save a life. So if anything can be done, I really wish I could be at that prayer rally. And I hope they stream it so we can all watch it. So happy birthday to Nolan Wells. Happy early birthday. Rest in peace. Rest in peace to Tyler Smith, Daniel Erving, Tasia Fortune. Rest in peace to my son as well, James Wilkerson. So that's all I have for y'all. I'm going to try to, if anything else comes up, I'll be back on here. But if not, man, y'all have a blessed one. Stay safe. God bless. Y'all have a good night.